Apologies for bothering you so late. I just really wanted to speak with you. Thank you. You see, I've been feeling conflicted about my future. It may seem petty to worry about such things in the middle of a war like this. This isn't something I open up about with many people. Feeling such a sense of inner turmoil while a war rages on, and others are fighting with all they have, well, it feels a little selfish. The truth is, I've wanted to be a knight ever since I was a small child. Not just any knight, like one you might find serving within the castle guard, but a true knight, one serving a master. However, my father has always had different plans for me. He wants me to marry, for the benefit of the Galatea family. Defying my father feels wrong. I've seen how he's struggled over the years. His burden has always been far greater than any I've had to bear myself. While he fed me extravagant meals, he subsisted on meager portions and watered-down soups. He never once complained, even though he must have been starving. Knowing his sacrifices, I've never been able to tell him of my dream of becoming a knight. Although ultimately, I find myself betraying his wishes. Now that I've parted ways with my father, there is nothing to stop me from pursuing my dream. But even if I do become a knight, I feel an unease deep within me. I fear I will never escape this guilt I carry, that I have shunned my duty as a noble. Yes, I know. All I can do is accept this inner turmoil. Even with the academy days long behind us, you're still a professor through and through. Always listening to others' troubles and offering up your wisdom. I really am grateful for all that you do for us, Professor. I hope you'll always be here as a guide to everyone. I know I myself would appreciate that deeply.
I return to my domain, my lonely paradise, my realm of exquisite solitude. Huh? Professor? Is that you? You didn't hear that just now, did you? Right! You didn't? Well, good.
Professor! Hey, Professor, something's been bothering me. Remember that suspicious guy I chased after back when I was a student? A knight scolded me for it, but at the time I really thought I was doing the right thing. Now that I've had more experience on the battlefield, though...
I've been looking for you. There isn't much time, so I'll keep this brief. The knights encountered a band of brigands while out marching. It was hard fought, but we prevailed. Our soldiers are highly trained, but the enemy was formidable, and we weren't expecting combat. There were a number of casualties among our troops. There is something I wanted to bring to your attention. Do you recall the incident 5 years ago involving a suspicious individual in Garreg Mach? These brigands all bore the same scorpion tattoo that we found on the arm of that man.
Oh no.
I thought that might be of interest to you. Don't mention it. If you'll excuse me, I need to get back to my duties.
heck of a coincidence, right? As soon as I mention that suspicious guy, this happens. But some of the knights died in combat. They died because of what I did 5 years ago. This is my fault. If I'd stayed quiet and tracked the guy down like you said, we would have stopped those brigands sooner, and I wouldn't have blood on my hands. It's no use trying to comfort me. You know I'm right. Just say it. Those poor knights. It's all my fault. Hey, Professor! You won't believe what happened. I figured I couldn't go back to the Empire after Garrick Mach fell, so I started drifting across the Kingdom and Alliance. Then, I just happened to run into our old class, so we came back to the monastery together.
No. Professor! Oh my, it's so good to see you. These days, so many old friends seem to be disappearing. But you're here. It's incredible to see you again after 5 years. I have a feeling your name will go down in history.
Pardon me.
Professor.
Do you have a moment, Professor? I need to speak with you. Thank you so much. This is what I wanted to address. This letter from my adoptive father just arrived. Oh, have I not mentioned him? He's the reason I first came to the Officers' Academy. He's also the one who dragged me from the church where I was living, just so he could use my crest. My crest does not yet belong to a house, so he plans to use it as leverage to marry into the nobility. He's a very greedy man who was a roving merchant before adopting me, but now he's in the capital. This letter says that he's finally arranged to marry me off to a wealthy noble. I know he's just thinking of himself, but can't he see that this isn't a priority when we're at war? I suppose it's possible. He may be worried about carrying on his bloodline, but... I don't know what to do about this proposal. I can't see any way around it, so I fear that I must. I just don't want to let go of the life that I've made for myself. I know it's not what my heart wants, but I don't have the strength to say no. I believe I've mentioned this before, but I want to work in service of the church. Well, I suppose it doesn't necessarily have to be the church, but I want to help those in need. If I were to marry a noble, I think it would be difficult to realize that dream. It's just, I've always allowed myself to follow the whims of those above me. I convinced myself that everything in life was at the will of the goddess. I was blind to reality. I believed it was her will to both pull me from the church and guide me to the Officers' Academy. The decision to enter this war was the first time I acted of my own free will. My adoptive father opposed this decision, but I somehow managed to convince him. Still, I couldn't free myself of him completely. This letter is proof of that. It's not that I'm scared of him, But there is something that worries me. Ah! I knew you'd understand, Professor. I've sat down to write a reply several times, but I can't muster up the courage or the words. I was hoping you could provide me with the encouragement I need. That's a very good point. We're only given one life, so we must do all we can to pursue our happiness. Okay. I think that may have been just the push I was looking for. I'll tell him the truth. That I found a life worth pursuing, and I must decline the proposal. Maybe I should tell him I've fallen for someone else. Why, it's you, Professor. Isn't that obvious? I'm just teasing. Now I'm off to write this letter and stand my ground. Thank you for your encouragement.
Professor, I have a proposal. Why not go beyond the Knights of Seros? Instead, uniting with allies from all across Fodlan to fight for our cause. Looking back, it would have been best to ally with the Kingdom and join forces against the Empire. But now the Kingdom is not exactly, well...
This experience is critical.
A moment, please.
Oh, hello, Professor. How nice to see you. You caught me off guard. I was actually just thinking about you. Just a moment ago? Well, I am afraid I just do not understand you. When we first met, I sensed something different about you, something mysterious. And now I am convinced your existence itself is very special. Thinking on it, I know it to be true. You have a crest that should have been lost long ago. You wield the sword of the Creator as if it is nothing. Your hair and eye color changed on that day 5 years ago, to the same sort of color as mine and my brother's. I do not know. My brother refuses to speak to me of it. Since then, you have led us into battle, and thus far, we have always come out victorious. Your comrades and colleagues adore you. They believe in you, in your strength. I doubt there is a single soul who is likened to you. Who are you, really? I simply do not understand. Whatever the case may be, having hair like mine is proof that there is something exceptional about you. I may as well come forward with things. I, too, am unlike others. Surely you recall when I was targeted, specifically for my blood? I may not be special in the ways you are, but my blood is rare. It seems the two of us share a special differentness. I also believe that we are bound together in some way. Of this I am certain. Therefore, I intend to stay by your side and watch over you. Your existence must be preserved at all cost. Certainly those are the words of a hero. Let us unite our powers. Together, we are unstoppable.
Professor?
for helping me with my training again today, Professor. I'm gonna keep at it for a while longer, so you go on ahead. I can't. Not when I'm right on the cusp of using my power to greater potential. Surely you yourself are tired. Just don't worry about me, okay? I'm sorry, Professor. It was careless of me to continue, despite how fatigued I clearly was. I probably should have listened to you. Now I've made a mess of things. I can't help but feel the need to rush in all things constantly. You get that way when you realize you haven't got much time. 13 years ago, House Ordelia was involved in a civil conflict within the Empire. All we did was respond to a call for aid. We weren't involved politically. But once the rebellion was crushed, my family was held responsible for the aid we gave, and the Empire gained some sway over us as a result. At the time, the noble houses of the Alliance took a passive stance. No one lent aid to my family. As a result, some key officials within the family were killed, and people from the Empire were sent to replace them. Among those people were some mysterious mages. They were unsettling, in a word. Skin pale as death. One after another, they captured and imprisoned the children of our household. They began performing terrible rituals on the children, though it's probably more accurate to call them experiments. With the Empire monitoring our every move, my parents could do nothing but watch in horror as all of this unfolded. One after another, the children